I love teaching. I did it for 12 years at Brooklyn College, and then moved on to administration because I also liked the process of making change. I moved into a position as the university dean at the City University of New York. University of New York at the time had 265,000 students and 22 campuses. And my job there simply with these 22 campuses, was to find ways to develop new, lasting, enduring partnerships between these campuses, the private sector, the public sector, community-based organizations, civic organizations, etc. So that was the task of the Dean of Urban Affairs, but no one really quite understood what a Dean of Urban Affairs was. So you had the great luxury of being able to make it up as you went along. But this position brought me face to face with the myriad and complex set of issues that confront urban universities and American cities. Inevitably, these interactions led me to step beyond academia and more directly into the realm of urban public policy and urban politics. In 1990, I was honored to serve as the director of the Urban Summit, a groundbreaking conference of 35 mayors from America's largest cities, including Michael White of Cleveland, at which an urban agenda was debated and adopted. Let me share with you a passage from the preamble to the mayor's statement that I had the privilege of authoring. Quote, "Urban centers are the focus of national vitality in trade, manufacturing, finance, law, and communications. Cities preserve the lion's share of America's histories in their museums, libraries, and architecture, and educate a large portion of America's future in their schools and universities. American culture is profoundly affected by the artistic and intellectual communities in the compressed space of cities, spawning advances in every aspect of our lives. The American economy is, in reality, comprised of regional economies centered around American cities, within which the fates of central cities, suburbs, and rural areas are intertwined." End quote. At the end of the day, you have to be a suburb of somewhere. One civic project led to another, and I had the opportunity to participate in the application for designation of an empowerment zone in Miami and an empowerment zone in New York City, and then went on in Florida to be the chair of Governor Bush's Healthcare Summit, an attempt to bring together all of the players in Florida and to fashion a healthcare policy. I mention all this because when I tell you about my love of cities, it's obviously not without a full recognition of the myriad challenges they face, particularly today in the throes of what many are now calling the Great Recession. And Cleveland has all the classic symptoms of most major cities: crushing poverty and near poverty, double-digit unemployment, and most ominously for the future, an undereducated population in a world increasingly demanding talented, educated workers. The crisis of public education in our nation's cities cannot be ignored or minimized. It is a national security crisis, an economic crisis, and a human capital crisis. The bar has been raised. Sending students out into the world with a high school diploma used to be public education's standard of success, but that isn't enough today. A 2- or 4-year post-secondary degree is now almost a threshold requirement for middle-class life, and the consequences of failing to reach the middle class are devastating. Lack of access to health care, inability to accrue savings, inadequate housing, and on and on. According to the Lumina Foundation, the average salary for an American today, and this is the average across all age groups, is $27,000, compared with $43,000 for a person with a 4-year degree. And that disparity has increased steadily over the last 30 years. And this trend will only accelerate in the coming years, as more than 2/3 of all new jobs that will be created will require some higher education. According to projections, at the rate we are producing college graduates and factoring in baby boomer retirements, there will be a shortage of 15 million post-secondary degree holders in the American workforce in the coming decade. 15 million post-secondary degree holders. And rest assured, there's a world waiting out there to take up the slack. They're standing by just a mouse click away in China, India, Ireland, and Brazil. These and many other nations are rapidly gaining on us, achieving degree attainment rates dramatically better than ours, as high as 54% among adults aged 25 to 34, compared with only 39% in the United States of America. Of the 30 nations who make up the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, 29 have increased degree attainment among their young adults in the last 10 years. The lone exception is the United States, which has fallen from first to 10th among industrialized nations in the percentage of young adults with degrees. Consider the consequences if this trend doesn't change. In the 80s and early 90s, the jobs we lost overseas were mainly low skill and low wage. But since the late 90s, 70% of all of the jobs that we have lost overseas have required some college education. Technology and communication advances have created a phenomenon that has been referred to as, quote, the death of distance, pitting our workers in direct competition with the world's rapidly expanding workforce. Our stagnation in degree attainment is particularly acute among low-income, first-generation students and students of color, many of whom reside in our nation's cities. More than 30% of white non-Hispanic adults Americans have at least 4 years of college, compared with just 18% of the African Americans and 12% of Hispanics. At Cleveland State, approximately 50% of our students are the first in their family to go to college. It's not that that students don't want to go to college. 90% of low-income teenagers tell researchers they intend to continue their education after high school, but only half actually enroll in a college, and of course, far fewer graduate. Many of our students face a triple hurdle to success: a challenge economically, academically, socially, and to succeed, they need the support, guidance, and encouragement. If we are not successful in graduating more students, it will be an inexcusable waste of the talent our nation so desperately needs in today's knowledge-driven global economy. In his State of the Union address on Wednesday, President Obama stated, "The best anti-poverty program around is a world-class education." If we are looking for a way for our city, state, and nation to return to growth and prosperity, education holds the key. It's a huge challenge, but it's the challenge that inspired me to become president of Cleveland State University at this pivotal moment.